show, we have Michelle Demaree. She is Miss Diamond Ring on Instagram. You guys, this girl is a diamond concierge. She has been a celebrity diamond concierge in the past, working at Harry Winston and Tiffany's on Rodeo Drive in California. And today we're going to talk all about her story, how she got into sales, how she turned a rock bottom moment in her life into her now completely self-owned, thriving diamond concierge business, and how she is so different in the diamond industry because she's using her feminine side, her feminine energy to grow a diamond industry business. Listen in. I can't wait for you guys. Make sure you have a pen and paper because she drops some awesome sales tips in here too. Enjoy the show. All right. Welcome, Michelle, to the show.
Thank you for having me, Joy.
I'm so glad we finally made this work. You guys have to go check out her Instagram right now. She has the most beautiful diamonds and jewelry on there. I've been like drooling.
Yeah, it's like a blessing and a curse to work in this industry because I fall in love with something new every day.
Oh, I bet. So tell my audience a little bit about you before we dive into your story.
I am a diamond concierge. I make ring dreams come true for women around the world. It's a bit of a dream job. I grew up in San Diego, went to school at Pepperdine, graduated in PR, and never, ever intended on getting into the jewelry industry. It was actually quite accidentally that I landed in jewelry. It's kind of funny because even growing up, my parents were both very, modest, blue collar. My dad was a janitor. My mom was a social worker. And I don't even think I ever got my nails done. You know what I mean? And now I'm in this like crazy luxury world. So it's interesting because I had worked in, every job I had was in luxury. So I was working in luxury real estate, moved to Chicago for a relationship that did not work out. We tried for 7 years. We're like, maybe if we move to Chicago, it'll work. Nope, still didn't work. No matter where you go, there you are. But I ended up working at Bentley Lamborghini, this like high-end elite car dealership. And I was their marketing director and I was selling cars when I didn't know a damn thing about them. So it was, I almost crashed a Bentley actually, because how do you drive a Bentley in the snow? I don't know. Figure it out. Anyway, I was at this event at the Peninsula Hotel and it was Valentine's Day weekend and they were offering this crazy special. So for $250,000, you could stay at the suite at the Peninsula Hotel. And what was included was a Bentley, a Van Cleef & Arpels diamond watch, some Protesi sheets, and some other amazing luxury items. And so at this event, I drove the Bentley there and I met the director of Van Cleef & Arpels. And for those of you who don't know, Van Cleef & Arpels, it's not a law firm. It's a jewelry store. I had never heard of it. It's a high jewelry Parisian house. And so I hit it off with the director. I had a very strong sales background, but again, I knew not a thing about jewelry. And I offered her a ride back to her store in the Bentley. That's where I almost crashed it into a bus because it was an icy road, Chicago in February, and ended up getting a job there. That was literally my start working, at like the most elite, prestigious jewelry house in the world with a strong sales background, but knew nothing about jewelry. So that was where it all started.
Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, back up. I'm like, how did you jump into selling such high-end things from like day one? Because I help people with selling and sales, and so many people have a hard time with asking for high ticket offers. I love that you came in and you're like, boom, I can sell Bentleys. Like,
it did start with some really good training. So I actually wanted to get into pharmaceutical sales and I could not break in. I mean, I tried, I did everything, could not break in. And I was at the career fair at USC. I went to Pepperdine, but they didn't have like the best career fair. And after college, I had a job selling ergonomic office supplies, literally like taking chairs, putting them in like the back of my car, keyboard platforms, literally going from building to building, getting kicked out of buildings, getting kicked out, like just hustling my little butt off. And I was like, I don't think I want to do this forever. I want to do pharmaceutical sales. So go to the career fair, got a thing from Pfizer, and right next to Pfizer was Pulte Homes. Pulte Homes was the biggest home builder in the world, recruiting for their Las Vegas division. And I had no interest, but I was like, again, fell into real estate because they're like, come on, like they were recruiting because it was the market boom in 2004. And this is actually how I met Rebecca Caffiero, our mutual friend, working for Pulte Homes. So their training program was a 3-month extensive sales training program. It was a phenomenal program. Okay. So really like starting there, and, you know, you start selling, you know, $500,000 home, and then the $700,000 home gets easier to sell. And then once you do that, then the $1 million home gets easier to sell. I sold homes for Pulte in Vegas and then in San Diego. They transferred me to a community that wasn't selling, and we sold it out, and it was award winning and all of that. So, and then the market crashed. But it was a wild ride. So that's how I started selling high-end things. You know, you don't just, some people start at the top, but you start somewhere, and then every milestone you hit makes the next milestone easier. I agree. Yeah, again, like the market crashed, and, you know, I followed this relationship to Chicago where I was like, what am I going to do? What should I do? And I kept walking by this, you know, car dealership that was luxury. And I was like, I'm just going to go in and get a job there, because I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, couldn't do real estate. I walked in and I just said, I'll be your best salesperson. Hire me. Like, just hire me. And they were like, okay.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. I walked in, and let me tell you, it's a very intimidating store. You walk in, like all the walls are pristine. Everyone stares at you when you walk in. Like, it took me a couple days to get up the nerve. Got dressed, did my hair, walked in. I asked for it. I got it. And started selling these crazy, I mean, they even had a Bugatti. It was like $1 million car, 1.5 million. Yeah, that's where it started. And then I started doing their marketing, and I was like, yeah, you have such a great space. You should rent it out. So we started renting out the space and creating more income. But as a whole, it wasn't where I wanted to be. I think it was the stepping stone for what came next, which was, again, jewelry, totally unintentional. It's kind of like the choose your own adventure. You know, I wasn't like, okay, I'm going to go to law school and become a lawyer. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I guess it's been the adventure of my life where I've just kind of discovered these things, and I'm really good with people. I guess I'm good with sales because I know how to connect with people. It doesn't really matter what the product is. Sales is all about high level connection. It's not about ABC, always be closing. It's always be connecting people. That's how jewelry came next. And it's funny. I remember when I was at the interview for Van Cleef, they were like, well, why should we hire you? They flew in like the head honcho of Van Cleef, and it was a little nerve wracking. And I was like, you know what? I may not have a jewelry background, but I have more horsepower and drive than anyone you'll ever meet. So you'll regret not hiring me. Again, like, this is like a wing and a prayer, and they hired me, and it was a, you know, really good situation, a great salary, benefits, commission. And so it's like, wow, like this is the next big step for my life, you know. And my relationship didn't work out, so it's just me and my little dog Maple, my Cavalier, and this job in Chicago. I didn't really know anyone there. It was just, that was my next adventure.
Okay, I'm loving this story so far, and I'm already taking notes for us to touch on things. But I have to ask you, like, what gave you the confidence to, in both places, walk in there and be like, I will be your best person? Because so many women, even though they're great, never have that confidence because I think they're so hard on themselves that they never actually give themselves that credit.
Yes, I think that's a really great question. And all the self-work I've been doing the past, you know, call it 10 years, but really 5 years, I've learned that we all have strengths and weaknesses in different areas. And so I guess say like my strength comes in just believing I can achieve anything. And that has to do with my childhood. my parents always were just like, you can do it, you can do it. So like the first play I tried out for, I got Annie, I got the lead. I tried out for a scholarship at Pepperdine, I got a full ride for singing. I tried out for tennis, I became the MVP. It was just kind of, and I was just continually manifesting because it was like, I can do it, I can do it. So that has always come very easily to me, that specific area. Now, not everything has, because conversely, the area of like relationships, not so great. That has been kind of my life's work, is working on self-love, because it's affected me in my relationship area. Because you can be a really successful business person and you can believe in the things you can achieve, but at the end of the day, you could still have feelings of like low self-worth or low self-esteem that you haven't worked through, that affect the people you attract into your life and that you allow to treat you a certain way. You can have like the most powerful businesswoman who's with an abusive guy, like I see it all the time. So I would say like I just intrinsically had this belief that I could do it. But for women who perhaps struggle with that, because we all struggle with something or many things, I would say the milestone markers are really powerful, where if let's say you don't think you can get $1 million sale or a $100,000 sale, start with the $10,000 sale or start with $1,000 sale. And then once you do that, you can hit the next one, gets that much easier. And what it does is it creates self-belief because you have social proof. I just did that. I can do it. So I think because I had my own social proof and the history of like, I have had all these sales, I just knew, well, if I did that, I can do this.
Correct. And I think so many people have that past evidence, but they don't take the time to even look at it or to remember that they have it, right? That's where all the time with my clients, I'm like, hello, pretty sure like you figured out other things in your past before. So like, where is that right now? So I love that you had the awareness around that.
Yes, I think you're making such a great point. It's like the narrative we tell ourselves, because our brains tend to focus on the negative because it's out there to protect us from all the bad. But there's so much good if we take the time to sit down and write it down, focus on that. I did this. Like I, closed this client, or I have this group of friends. You can build a new narrative, because the narrative is what kind of creates your reality. And so you could create the reality that I'm not that kind of person. I can't have that kind of job. No one would hire me like that. And guess what? If that's what you're telling yourself, no, you can't have that job and no one will hire you. But if you have a new narrative, even if you don't yet believe it, take the proof. Take the proof of your history, or even if you don't have any history proof, like build a new narrative. Your narrative runs your life.
Oh, yes. I love that. Okay. Get into jewelry and you think, okay, this is it. Were you working down on like Rodeo Drive?
Yes. Well, so in Chicago, I was working on Michigan Avenue, but I got homesick after a while. So I transferred to Tiffany's on Rodeo Drive. And I was like living Audrey Hepburn's dream.
Yes.
Breakfast at Tiffany's every morning. A lot of incredible sales, meeting incredible people. I worked in their fine jewelry department. And then I was there for a little bit. And then I got recruited by Harry Winston, which was like a few doors down on Rodeo Drive. So I did upgrade. I will say, like, working for Harry Winston was the pinnacle of like working in the jewelry industry. It is the red carpet, jeweler to the stars. And it was still small and privately owned. So it was just magical. I just the experiences of working specifically for Van Cleef and for Harry Winston, because they were privately owned when I was working for them. And now they're publicly owned, which is a very different experience. Oh gosh, just the things you could do for clients and the experiences you could have. And I mean, our networking really was like going to getting dressed up like in like these like crazy gowns and going to gala after gala and just networking. That was literally a majority of my job. And then we would have parties. And I mean, it really was incredible. And it was the dream. It was at that time in my life, for what I believed I could do and have, it was like the dream, everything. And I was lucky at Harry to have the most incredible manager who, when you're working for a company, you're kind of like, your happiness factor is largely dependent upon the people you work for and with. In many cases, I mean, you build your own happiness, but I was lucky to have an incredible manager who supported me in my growth. And even I ended up getting pregnant when I was at Harry Winston and, leaving and getting married. And she just supported that, which can be kind of a scary thing as just this new stage in life. So yeah, it was all amazing.
So did you help celebrities with their rings at Harry Winston? I just have to ask because I hear
Of
that.
course I did. Of course I did.
Who's like the biggest celeb you've helped? Are you allowed to say?
I'm not. I'm actually not. They have NDAs and I do. Let's just say you see them on TV. They're all fabulous. I mean, I would see so many incredible couples. You get to see how they really operate and how they really are together. And it's just beautiful. But yes, what's interesting is not that many celebrities buy. It's really like Russian and Chinese wealth. They'll come in with a duffel bag of like $1 million and, want to purchase whatever, I don't know, an engagement ring or something. But now, no, we don't do cash. They don't do cash deals anymore, but it used to be a thing. But yeah, you see some crazy stuff. And what I will say on the sales lesson of never judge a book by its cover, when I was at Van Cleef and I was new and starry-eyed, it was actually my sales associate's up. It was her turn to, help the person walking in the door. And he looked homeless. He had tufts of hair coming out of his back. He had a fanny pack on. He didn't speak English. And she goes, Michelle, you take this up. I don't want to deal with it. And she went to the back and had a snack. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll help this guy. So turns out he's like a Russian billionaire. He bought a $350,000 sapphire from me within like 3 hours. You never would have thought because he looked completely like not like what you would think a high net worth individual would wear. But the reality is people with that much money, they don't give a fuck. They don't have to.
And I always tell my clients that, like, never assume anything about your prospects. Like,
never.
That's the worst thing you can do. So that's an amazing story. Okay. So hold on one second, because you just said not a lot of celebrities buy rings. Are you telling me you can rent them?
No,
like,
no. What I mean is like, well, a lot of celebrities will wear items on the red carpet, but they are borrowed for pictures. They don't purchase them. And so that's actually how Harry Winston, got famous, right? It's like you dress the stars in your jewelry, you get the PR. But what I mean is on a daily purchase cycle, a lot of international people will fly in and purchase from Harry Winston. There are celebrities who will come in and purchase, but it's not as many as you would think. But yes, they purchase.
Can you talk to me about these networking events? You said you would dress up and you would go. Because again, networking is such a topic that people struggle with when they're like, how do I network? How do I network? And they don't know how to go be in person with people and not be weird, but also bold enough to actually make some good connections and get some sales. Do you have any
Absolutely
to share?
I do.
Okay.
I really do. And I'm going to give you the tip of what I used to do then that kind of worked and what I do now that really works. And this has been kind of my process because back then I was a starry-eyed young girl who just wanted to make money, which is a great place to start. You're hungry. So you just want to make money. And so when you're going in dressed up, whatever your situation, in my situation, I was dressed up to the nines, going to these galas, and I would try and compliment people. Oh, you look so beautiful. Oh, you look so beautiful. But my energy was one of like, I want you to connect with me so you could buy from me. Now, whether you believe it or not, energy doesn't lie and everything is energy. If you're in an energy of wanting to take, it's very different from an energy of wanting to give and to serve. So that's the kind of shift and transition I've made in my life and in my business now. But some tools that are very effective, if you can go in with a mindset of abundance, of like, there's enough for everyone, and I want to see how I can best serve and connect with clients, and you want to have a high level connection, going in and finding commonality, because in general, they've studied mirror neurons, and that is like the psychology of if people think and recognize that you are similar to them, if you can find similarities and commonalities, they will like you. And you have pretty much 8 seconds. They say it takes 8 seconds to make a first impression. So you have that 8 seconds to kind of like no pressure, but kind of make a permanent first impression. And so the most important thing is check your energy. Check your energy. Like, are you in a state of love and wanting to give and serve? Even if you're going to a high-end event, like how can you make people feel good around you? Because at the end of the day, people want to do business from people they like, trust, and feel good around more than anything. Even if you have the best product in the world, if you don't have that energy and you don't make people feel good, like think about it. Nobody wants to be around people that don't make them feel that way. Anyways, I would say establishing rapport through, it's called mirroring, right? If someone's tone is slow and they're relaxed, if you come in a high, fast-paced energy state, it doesn't match them and they're going to be resistant to your energy. But if you can match their energy level, if it's slow, if they're even a little perturbed, and they've done psychology on this, if you can be like, yeah, I know, like, I totally feel the same way, you want to come from a place of authenticity, but if you can find a way to authentically connect and kind of match someone's energy, it really is powerful. And then of course, finding commonalities, like if someone's a pet lover and you are too, connect on the things that light people up, that bring them joy, that raise their vibration to a high love state, and then you connect with them there. And one thing I will also say is never do business by talking about business.
That's
you
right.
do business by not talking about business. That has been the game changer. It's like you go in and you just start, talking shop. It's such a turn off. If you connect with people on a non-business level, then they'll be like, so what do you do? It just
Right.
always evolves that way.
Do you have any good questions you like to ask people when you're at an event and you don't know them?
I always ask open-ended questions, right? I'm like, so tell me about your connection with this event, or tell me about your connection with so-and-so that we have mutual friends. Or if I know something about them, I'll be like, I've heard you are such an incredible philanthropist with this organization. I'm such a fan too. How did you get involved? Tell me more about you. Tell me more about this. I love it too. Open-ended questions are the best way to get people love to talk about themselves.
Yeah. But I think so many people struggle with like, I don't know what to even ask them other than like, what do you like to do for fun? And people are like, like.
I think if you're at an event, everyone's drinking usually, learn something. I'm a big fan of always growing and developing my knowledge base. So I have interesting things to talk about. So if you're going to, let's say, a wine tasting event, learn 2 things about wine that you can kind of throw out there casually. Like, I don't know. Like add value. Wherever you go, add value. Make people feel good, and maybe people can learn something from you or through your life experiences. You don't have to be the CEO of anything to be important or valuable.
That's so true. Oh, such good notes. I'm like writing them all down. Open-ended questions, building rapport, learn something so that you can be helping others. I hope you guys are writing all of this down because this is awesome. Okay.
That's all the stuff I learned.
Yes. Back to your story and starting your own thing.
Yes. I left Harry Winston when I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter, Charlotte. I was in a relationship. I was madly in love. I think it was, I'm like, was I married? Yes, I was married. Yeah, I was married at that point. And yeah, I was ready to just say goodbye to retail. And honestly, I thought I was fulfilling my life's dream. Like, oh my gosh, I finally get to be happy. I get to leave work and be a stay-at-home mom. And I found a guy who's like amazing and my life is secure. Like I'm set, check, boom. Because my mom and my dad, they worked so hard. My mom wanted me to have a better life, and she would be going to school during the day, working at night. My mom would be telling me, Michelle, don't do what I did. Make sure you marry someone who's educated, who's secure, who's going to give you a better life, because my mom was struggling and she obviously wanted something better for me. So I, of course, was like, okay, mommy, like her and my dad were married, not not totally happily married, kind of fighting and separated a couple times, got back together, but like dedicated to making it work for the family. And they both worked so hard and gave my brother and I everything that they could. So I didn't grow up feeling like I didn't have enough, but I had to work for every single thing I got, like everything. So once I became a stay-at-home mom and I got married and I had Charlotte, I thought, like, this is it, like I did it. But the reality is the relationship I was in was highly conflict driven, very volatile. There were red flags for both of us from the beginning, and I shouldn't have married him. And he and I can speak openly about it because he and I actually have an amicable relationship now, but we went through a lot. And they say that you learn your lessons in life either through pain and hardship or through pleasure. But one way or another, like if you don't listen to that voice inside, like your soul and your gut that's saying, don't do this, but you're like, oh, but my life will be easier and better. Like I just kind of want that feeling of security. If you don't listen to your gut, you'll pay for it one way or another. I hate to say it, but it's actually true. And I'm a much better, stronger, wiser woman now on the other side. But it was a very painful marriage. And we went through a lot together. That was the lesson I had to learn from that. So when Charlotte was a year old, and I kind of knew things probably weren't going to work out, but I wasn't ready to leave. And we were going to therapy. And my daughter actually started having kind of some signs of health issues. And that was a whole nother journey. I started my business. Because Rebecca, my dear friend, Rebecca Caffiero, invited me to Lori Harder's Bliss Project, which was, this is where like the light bulb went on, where I was like, oh, it's this incredible retreat in Orange County where you go and you kind of figure out like, how do you want to serve the world? What do you want to give back? And I was like, oh my God, like, I think I want to start this business because I felt there was a better way I could serve clients in the jewelry space who wanted a high-end ring and an incredible experience, but one that actually honored their connection as a couple and honored the engagement ring process, was a better value than what you would buy at a Rodeo Drive store. And I had the network and the connections to do this because of everywhere I worked. And I already had clients. I was working on a ring at the time for one of my big clients. And I was like, oh my God, maybe this is what I should do. So that's when I started Miss Diamond Ring.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I know who Lori Harder is. I know about all of this. That's so cool. So talk to me about, you just said you wanted it to honor their connection as a couple. You dug more into that? What do you mean with that?
Oh, yes. So I would say like the jewelry industry, it has a bad rap, first of all. And then also because they treat your ring purchase like you're buying a couch. It's like they don't take the time to get to know you. They don't always take the time to learn about the woman and what she wants and what does her hand look like and what's going to be flattering for her. And I really think there are delicacies that happen as a couple when you're buying a ring that need to be taken into consideration, like her expectations and his budget, or do they want to buy it together? And it's like the beginning of their life together in most cases. So it needs to be treated with some kid gloves in some cases. And I think also taking the stress out of the process so they don't feel like they're most couples spend 60 hours on average ring shopping online, trying to research so they don't get ripped off. It's like this whole thing. And I mean, at the end of the day, what people really want is just to know they're going to have a beautiful piece. It's a good value. The woman is going to have the moment she's been dreaming of. So I help the guy with the proposal and set them up with like the most amazing vendors post proposal so they can have an incredible streamlined process all the way to the wedding. So yeah, it's like, it shouldn't just be like, here, buy a ring, buy it, you'd ever see them again. It's like, I really get to know my couples. And it's not just here in LA, it's like they're around the world.
That's amazing. Okay. Definitely never heard of working with a jewelry concierge before, but you just sold me. I'm like, this sounds incredible.
It's pretty cool.
I also heard that you take into consideration a lot of energy work around your rings. Talk to me about that, because I'm fascinated about that.
I do. A lot of people don't consider the fact that diamonds are crystals and diamonds amplify energy. When you place this ring on your hand, first of all, you have to make sure she loves it, because think about it, as you're looking at your ring, if you love it, you're amplifying all of this beautiful, high level, high vibrating 528 hertz energy field, and it's going into your body. You have like a crystal into your, right next to your skin. And if it has positive thoughts behind it, especially the proposal, and you're looking at your hand 100 times a day, which that's average. That's like average is 100 times a day. You're just looking, looking, looking. I love my ring. I love my ring. So setting an intention on it as a couple is incredibly powerful. And you can put the intentions on the inside of the ring. It could be many different things. So I'm wearing a piece from my Diamonds with Soul collection. This is an intention piece. Rebecca actually just got one too. And they're kind of like manifesting pieces where every time you look at it, you're reminded as a woman of your brilliance, your inner sparkle, your radiance. The fact that a diamond is formed under great pressure, very difficult conditions, high temperature heat, rubbing, polishing, all the things that are very, very uncomfortable, but that make you brilliant, that make you shine, that give you wisdom, that build character and integrity. That's how a diamond is formed. So it's a reminder that you are a diamond, you were made to shine, and we need to be reminded of it.
Oh my gosh, I want to look at those for sure. I love the fact that you have them set intentions with their purchase. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw something on your page too about divorce rings. Did I see something about that? Like,
Divorce rings?
like as in after the divorce type thing, a woman buys herself a ring type thing.
Oh, yes. I'm like, oh,
Maybe
did I have a collection?
I was like, maybe you call it something else, but
That's a great idea for a collection. No, I'm just kidding. It's not necessarily a divorce ring. It's really at any point in life, a woman can and should choose to honor herself and honor her highest self. There's nothing wrong with self-care and self-love. It has the stigma of being narcissistic when you do things for yourself, when you're loving yourself, when you're buying something for yourself. Yes, in extreme. Like if we're considering the Kardashians, I would say there's maybe a little bit too much self-love and self-everything, but you cannot fill anyone else's cup if your cup isn't full. If you're not feeding yourself and honoring yourself and doing things that bring yourself joy, then you can't do that for other people. So the collection is really meant to find something that you connect with. They all have different meanings, like intuition, calling in your soulmate, la femininity, which is about honoring your femininity as a woman. I mean, one is called radiance, one is called limitless. We have untapped potential in us, and we are standing in our acres of diamonds, and we just don't know it. We need to be reminded. So every time you're looking at that piece of jewelry, just boom, it's a reminder of that intention. And it builds a neural pathway to remember, I'm amazing, I am meant for great things. That thought that I can't do it, that I can't have it, that I shouldn't have it is false. It doesn't serve me. I'm going to throw it away and remember the things that are meant for me, which are happiness, joy, abundance, everything our soul desires.
oh my gosh, I've never heard a jewelry person talk like this before. So this is so cool. I'm like, loving this. Do you have any kind of like success stories of people or even yourself who have used these pieces and been like, oh, gosh, something happened in my life?
Yeah, well, I would say I'm a very big success story, because I was at rock bottom. Oh man, 3 years ago. Aside from the divorce, we had spent years recovering my daughter from kind of like a medicine-induced brain injury. And so I felt like I was losing my mind, and that my life was pretty much over. All of my dreams were shattered. I went from having the big house and this amazing life in the valley and it was a choice to end the marriage, because I knew that I couldn't achieve my greatest happiness as a soul without breaking free of that toxic energy cycle. I remember my therapist, who's so amazing, Ingrid, she said, Michelle, you obviously want more pain. you obviously, when I was like, I don't know if I can leave, I don't know. She's like, you're obviously not ready and you want more of what's happening. You want more of that cycle and of that pain and that toxic energy. And I was like, no, I don't. And she goes, no, I think you do. And I was like, no, I don't. And that was what pushed me to kind of say goodbye to my old life and literally start over. And at the time, I didn't have this collection, but I had a journal, and I had a piece of jewelry at the time that I would look at. Obviously I was going to say goodbye to my engagement ring, but I had a dedication to my personal development. And so I tapped into some really incredible resources, because when you're in the dark, you don't resist the dark. You just reach over and find a way to turn on the light. So you tap into the light around you when you're in the darkness. And I did that. I called on so many resources to get me back to homeostasis. One of them was Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza is one of the most incredible, I would call servants, because he's serving the world so well in changing the things that are going on in your brain. And through his meditations, I dedicated, I did a 45-minute meditation of his every day for a year. And my business went from being, not many people knowing about it, to being in the New York Times and next the LA Times and the Modern Luxury, and then Us Weekly, and then Entertainment Weekly, and then boom, 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 I was offered a reality show. It just kept continuing. And it was it's kind of like a domino effect. So, I was doing the meditations. I was like, nothing is happening. My client base was growing, but I wanted to get more publicity, more word out there. And I will say Rebecca Cafiero's brand camp was a catalyst for just believing in my business model, because sometimes you might have an idea for a new business model that hasn't been tested and it's not out there yet. And people in my industry, it's a very male dominant industry, were telling me Michelle, that's not going to work. It's not going to fly. Sorry, not going to work. And I was like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't do this. I almost didn't do this. And I was like, nope, I believe in myself. I'm going to do it. So I just kept going. I just kept, what do you call it, sawing wood. Or they say, how do you eat a whale? One bite at a time. It's been eating that whale for 5 years. I don't know, back to your question of the success story. I will say, I went from my lowest point to now my daughter's fully recovered. I have a healthy relationship with my ex. We co-parent well together. I have a, $10 million business and growing. And I've never been happier in terms of living my soul's purpose. And my business model is based on love. And that is literally how it all started. I'm dedicated to continuing that, to everything coming from a place of love. I didn't have a traditional business model, or business plan of here's what I'm going to do in 5 years. What do I want my life to look like? How do I want to feel? How do I want to make people feel? What do I want to give to them? And that's it.
Reverse engineering based on the life that you want to have and the person that you want to be. I love that, because I think too many people look at logically where they are right now, and they're I don't even know how to get started, right? Or I could never do that, instead of engineering. So I love that you have the foresight to do that. And you said you were committed to your personal growth. That is everything, because you probably wouldn't be here today if you hadn't have committed to that.
1,000,000%.
I love Joe Dispenza, by the way, but a 45 meditation every day for a year, that is commitment right there.
Yeah. But you know what? If you do it right as you go to sleep, it taps into your subconscious, and then all night long, your subconscious is working for you. And as your audience probably knows, or what I've learned, is your subconscious rules 90% of your life. So you can do all the things, and you can follow all the rules, and you can read all the books, and you can get the job and this and that and work 70-hour weeks. But unless you tap in your subconscious and heal the wounds from whatever happened from 0 to 8 years old, you're kind of almost going against the wind. You're kind of it's such a game changer to tap into your subconscious, and that's what he does. And also Mind Valley. I don't know if you follow Vishen Lakhani on Mind Valley. That is a game changing. Everyone should follow that podcast. I listen to it every week, and I learn new things every week. Those two are probably the two things that really have fed me weekly for 5 years.
Ooh, I love that. I will for sure look that up. I hear like someone from my audience being like, well, you know what? This all sounds really nice and fluffy. This whole like, don't go to a networking event and like go in wanting a sale, build your business from love. But like, Michelle, I need a sale right now. Like I need to pay the bills, right? I'm sure you've heard this before. I hear
Yes.
this. And I can relate, right? Because we've all been there. So what would you say to someone who's like struggling to get over that mental hurdle? Because that's all that it is. It's just a mental hurdle where they're like, I need to pay the bills. So how can I not show up feeling this way? How can I not show up in this energy in my business? How can I just build a business based on love?
Yeah. Okay, that's easy. So what you need to do is get into a meditation where you are feeling what it feels like to have all your bills paid and money to give to other people. You have so much money in your bank account. And this isn't like something that you're reading to yourself. Like you actually have to do a meditation where you're dipping into your alpha, your beta, and you are feeling what it feels like to be totally abundant. And actually, there's something called a mind movie. I don't know if you've heard of this, Joy, but I have this in my phone. You can pay for it, or you could be like me and create it on your own for free, where basically you take your favorite song, because what you need to do is pair your end result goal, your desired outcome, with a high emotional state. Now, you can get to this high emotional state in a 45-minute meditation. However, if you don't have 45 minutes and you hate meditation, which I did 5 years ago, find a song that lights you up, literally gives you chills, makes you want to cry, because music is frequency, and it brings you to your highest frequency as a being. So take all of these photos of what you want. Maybe you just focus on one thing where like, I want to pay my bills, or I want to get that sale, or I need to pay my rent this month. So write a check to yourself for how much money, take a picture of it, put it in this file. Take a picture of all the things that you want to create. Like my mind movie has a photo of my dream house. It has a photo of like Charlotte climbing a tree and like the affirmation of how healthy and happy she is and that she can eat all the food she wants to eat. And a photo of me with my future soulmate, like sipping coffee in the morning, taking a walk on the beach, and a photo of like, here's what my business is going to sell for. Here's my income. Here's what I make every month. Because by the way, I started with one sale when I had my business. I didn't have I kind of started from ground zero, and I had the same fear, and fear can consume you. And fear tells a story that's not true. It tells a story of what may happen. But if you can build this file in your phone, just create a folder, go on the internet, take an hour, have fun, literally dream your ass off, put it into a file, pair it with a song, 3 to 4 minutes, and watch it, dig into it a couple times a day. And it's going to build a neural pathway of possibility. And that mindset and that state is what you should watch before you go do something where you're going to serve other people, because you're going to be in a state of abundance, and you're going to be able to draw in abundance for yourself.
That is such an amazing practical tip. Thank you so much for sharing.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
So if there's someone who's in their rock bottom right now and things don't look good and they feel like they're losing a lot in their life, because it sounds like that's how you felt. You felt like you were in a place of loss, right?
Yes.
And losing so much.
Yes.
What would you say to them as like, I don't know, reason to keep going, or why they should keep going, or
Yeah, this is a good one. And for anyone listening, like I have been there to the darkest depths of wondering if I should, like what's the point of everything, especially this year. COVID has, I think, exacerbated everyone's deepest fears because there's so many unknowns. I think relationships are more challenged, or to find, like dating right now is not that easy. So calling in your soulmate. So it kind of exacerbates everyone's fears. But what I keep coming back to is that you are meant for great love. You, in your highest state, So you in your highest state are love, and you are meant for happiness. And there are stories and tapes that we have in our mind given to us either by our parents or by our, teachers or by society that are not true. So I think one of the most important things to remember is just because you're feeling something doesn't mean it's true. Just because you're feeling like so-and-so doesn't like you, or like you didn't get this job because X, Y, and Z, or you can't have that $10,000 a month because of us. Just because you feel that way doesn't mean it's true. And another thing that I actually heard from Jay Shetty, which was really powerful for me in a dark moment, was don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion, because emotions are temporary. It's energy. It flows, it ebbs and flows. You feel like shit right now, you're going to feel better in 4 hours. When you go outside, you take in the sun, you get your favorite coffee, you're going to be like, oh, like, I don't know what happened, or maybe it's a day later, but you have to move out of your state. So if you're feeling dark, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling suicidal, if you're feeling like quitting, you have to change your energetic state. Get up, literally do the 3-2-1. 3-2-1, get up, throw some clothes on, go walk outside, listen to your favorite song. I promise you, it will at least take you out of that dark, dark place, and then call on some light, whatever that light is for you. Watch the funniest thing you can think of on Saturday Night Live. Watch Nick Kroll, which for me, Nick Kroll is like, oh my God, I laugh my ass off watching Nick. Like, I have my things, Arrested Development, the things that I need to watch when I need to feel happy and light. You have to raise your frequency, and you can do it. So feeling bad, sometimes it's valid to feel, like it's okay to feel sad. Also, don't resist it. Another thing is like, don't resist it, as in like, don't be hard on yourself. Don't be mad at yourself. If you're feeling sad and down, don't judge yourself. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. And then just know that it will pass eventually. And if you can do something to almost like take care of yourself. Like I go treat myself to ice cream a lot, Joy. Let me just tell you, I take myself out for ice cream all the time, because they say, do what you would do for your own child. Like, how would you treat your own child if your child is feeling sad and depressed? That's your inner child. So treat your inner child like you would your own child. Nurture them, take a bath, go for a walk, go buy a nice bottle of champagne. Like, oh my God, I have been treating myself for 2 years because if I didn't, like, I don't know. It's okay.
Yes. No, something I ask myself every morning is, what does little Joy need today? And it's, what does the little girl inside of me need? And
Yes.
I give her full permission to ask if it's a bubble bath, if it's playing outside, like whatever it is. And then I do it, because you'll find when you do that, it sounds silly, but it actually works, right? Because we all have a kid inside of us. And most of the time, they didn't get what they wanted when they were little. And they're still not getting it now, and they're running the show. And they're showing up and sabotaging the show. So,
Exactly.
that time. I love that you do that. I love that you just talked about that, because that's something I do every day.
Oh, good. That's because we are all children running around in adults' bodies. Like, seriously. It's like, yeah, that's amazing that you do that, Joy. It's like, and you're a light to so many, and that's because of your own self-care, and you're a mom. It's like you're probably split in a million directions. So you have to fill your cup so you have overflowing love and energy to give other people.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for coming on today and sharing your whole story. I'm so inspired, and I definitely want to be reaching out to you. I told my husband, I don't know if you know our story or anything, but we went through a pretty bad rock bottom in our relationship. And I always told him, I was like, I need a new ring.
Yes.
So we'll have to for sure come to you when we get to that point.
I think that's powerful. A ring that can represent your future, 3-stone rings are great because a 3-stone ring represents your past, your present, and your future. So you could literally set an intention on each stone and like what you want to build together.
Ooh, now you've got my wheels turning.
That's what I do.
you tell everybody where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Miss Diamond Ring. And you can find me online at Miss Diamond Ring. It's just MISS diamondring.com. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for having me, Joy. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with your audience. And yeah, it's really been a pleasure.
Yes, I'm so glad. Thanks for coming on. And everybody, remember, if you love this episode, take a screenshot, tag Michelle at Miss Diamond Ring, and tag me. Tell us what your takeaway was. Definitely be sure to go check out her jewelry because she has amazing pieces at amazing rates. Our mastermind went in together to buy a necklace for Kayla for her birthday, and I saw the piece and saw what we got to pay for it, and my jaw about hit the floor. I was like, I'm gonna get one of these for me because it's so amazing and it was such a good price. So go check it out, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.